Hi everyone, this is Anto Chávez with Be Latina. Today we're having a second live because we're definitely too close to the elections to not be on top of this kind of conversations. We need to get the answers that we need in order to make an informed decision when the election actually comes up. And we are very close. So this time we're talking to Jessica Mejias, who is another Latina staffer at the Biden campaign. And she's actually the Arizona director, the Arizona state director. So I'm really excited about this conversation, and we'll get started right away. She just requested. She should be on very soon. I think it's connecting now.
Hi.
Hi, Jessica.
Finally.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yay, we did it.
Yes. Thank you. I'm so sorry, everyone, for the technical difficulties.
Don't worry, this happens all the time. That's how the virtual world works,
Yes.
so it's all good. So Jessica, where are you in the well, I'm assuming Arizona, but what part?
Yes, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay, nice. Sunny?
Yes, a little warm, but sunny and nice. Yes.
Yeah. So let's jump right in. So can you tell us who you are and what you do and basically what your role is in the campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Jessica Mejia. As you mentioned, I'm the Arizona State Director for the Biden-Harris campaign. And I grew up in California. I'm originally from El Salvador. My parents immigrated to the U.S. because of the Civil War. And I grew up there, and I've been working on campaigns most of my life. I joined the Biden campaign last year, and now I'm in Arizona and Phoenix as a state director. I'm very excited to be here.
Nice. So what does a regular, if there are any, day look like to you?
Yes, they vary, and also especially now that we're getting so close to the election. So in Arizona, early voting started last Wednesday. 80% of registered voters in Arizona are permanent early vote list voters, which means they get they get a mailed ballot. And so they were mailed out last Wednesday. And then early vote started last Wednesday as well. So people started getting their ballots around Friday or Saturday since last week. So I mention that because the days vary a lot because early voting has started. But on average, it's really executing our plan in the state, working with our communications team, working with our organizing team, working with our coalitions team, our political team, making sure that we're talking to voters, making sure we're engaging voters and our supporters in the state and different community leaders, stakeholders in the state to make sure that we're talking about the Biden-Harris vision for our country, why it's so important to get informed about and get involved in the campaign, and why it would make such a difference if we elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as our next president and vice president of the United States.
Yeah, of course. And so let's talk about that difference. So what is at stake and why is it that the Latinx, the Hispanic, and the Latina community vote is so essential, especially these elections?
Yeah, absolutely. So, our community unfortunately has been, it's been a rough few years, I would say, just based on the current administration, right? At least for me personally, it was so important for me to join the Biden campaign because the vice president, I think, has a history about working with our community, and so does Senator Harris, working with our community, the type of relationships that they have, the type of when the vice president was in the White House with Barack Obama, Dreamers, the Healthcare Act that has benefited our community so much. And Senator Harris also has, she's from California, she's my state senator, and the type of legislation, the type of history that she has with advocating for our community, to me, it speaks very loudly of the type of president and the type of administration that they would have. And so to answer your question in terms of what is at stake, I think we need to look no further than this pandemic that we're living through. There was never a plan to address this pandemic, and unfortunately, people of color, our communities, Latinos, have been affected so much by not having a plan. People are out of jobs. People are scared to lose their health care in the middle of a pandemic, and the administration is constantly attacking those things that are of importance to our community. Having a job, having health care, making sure that our kids go to school with a plan if the schools are going to be reopened. And all those things are very important to our community. And I would say, just based on the last 4 years, unfortunately, how our community has been attacked, there's so much at stake for us. And it's so important that we go out and vote this November.
Right. And so, as you've been talking about, campaigns are a lot of work, and there are so many things that you need to do on a daily basis, especially now that it's so close. So what led you to get involved in this kind of, busy and arduous kind of job?
So I grew up in a single parent household. My mom, as I mentioned, immigrated from El Salvador, and I went to a school that I was so lucky I had an AP teacher that was you should go to there's a program in my high school that took high school kids to Washington, D.C. And I would have never even imagined this world because, again, low income family, my mom didn't speak English. And so it's not that she didn't want to provide me with those opportunities. We just didn't know about them. And so I went to DC and I spent the whole week in DC meeting my elected officials, and I remember just being so mesmerized by that world that I just didn't even know existed. And so I interned for my congressman, and they were he's since retired, but they helped me secure it at the Capitol because my parents would have never been able to afford, my mom would have never been able to afford sending me to Washington, D.C. To work, for an unpaid internship. And ever since then, I saw just a need of more Latinos. I noticed that there were not a lot of Latinos around me when I was interning at the Capitol at the time. It's a lot more diverse now. But I started working on my first campaign, and oftentimes I found myself being the only person of color, the only woman in the room. And so I kept getting involved, and that's why I continue working on campaigns. More specifically about why I joined the Biden campaign, it's because I truly believe, as you mentioned, the hours are long, but I truly believe that the vice president has a vision for our country, has a vision for Arizonans, he has a vision for our community, and that includes, it's an inclusive vision. He has a Build Back Better plan that's going to help with our economy, it's going to help with jobs, it's going to help making sure that our community is not left behind and has those opportunities, the same opportunities that other people have in order for our community to get ahead. And so I'm working the long hours because I truly believe that the vice president is the right leader to lead us in the right direction, especially with everything that's going on. The pandemic, people have lost their jobs, people might lose their health insurance, and making sure that we have that type of vision and leadership that he showed through in his years in the Senate and also in the White House, getting things done, and then also working. He's not going to be a president of just for Democrats, right? He's going to be a president for Republicans, independents. And I think the type of support that we have here in Arizona speaks to that. Cindy McCain, as an example, endorsed the vice president recently. And we have our coalition here in Arizona is very diverse in every sense of the word. And I think it speaks to the type of leadership that the vice president and the senator have shown so far, and the type of leadership that they expect if he's elected, if they're elected to president and vice president.
Yeah, and I think this kind of personal testimonies and personal stories are so important because those are the ones that, make up part of the whole community that has very specific, needs and concerns depending on where they live, what country they came from, what kind of immigration history they have. And so here in Arizona, what do you think are the top concerns of the Latinx community?
I would say COVID, the pandemic hit Arizonans hard. There was just no plan by the administration on how to address the pandemic. I would say the economy, jobs, opening small businesses. Latinos they want to open their own small businesses, and they want to make sure that they continue to put food on the table for their families, and making sure that their kids are safe when they go to school, and having those plans. So I would say for Arizonans, it would be the economy, jobs, build back, which is why, I keep referencing Build Back Better, but the economy, making sure that the schools are safe for students, this pandemic, healthcare is very important for Arizonans, making sure that they have coverage in the middle of a pandemic. Like losing coverage is a real, I would say, a concern, right? It would be a concern for anyone losing coverage, especially in the middle of a pandemic.
Of course. So with that, I think my last question would be, how can people get involved? How can they engage? Because it's not only going out and voting, but also volunteering and helping getting out the vote.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned, because early vote did start in Arizona, we do need the help. Not only should everyone that has joined us hopefully have a plan to vote if they haven't already voted, but having a plan to vote, knowing exactly when they're planning to vote and how they're planning to vote is very important. If anybody needs information about, how they where they should go and vote and how they should vote, they can go to iwillvote.com. In order to more specifically, mission for Arizona.com is missionforarizona.com, or our website. If they go to the Joe Biden website, there's volunteer. You can find different ways to get involved across the country. But I would say more important, like as importantly, making sure that people have a plan to vote, making sure that people know exactly when they plan to vote, how they plan to vote, which is so important that everybody go to iwillvote.com. And again, all the information that you need about how to vote, where to vote, all the different ways to vote in your respective states is included in that website. It really iwillvote.com, joebiden.com, or Mission for Arizona. But I really do encourage everyone to get involved. That as Latinos, it's so important for us to get involved and have our voices heard this November. We have a real opportunity. Our community has a real opportunity as Latinos to determine who the next president of the United States will be. And I think we need to make sure that our voices are heard this November 3rd.
Yeah, so there you go. These are the answers that you needed. Now go out, make a plan to vote, and volunteer. Thank you so much, Jessica, for being here with us today, and having this wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
have a great day.
You too. Thank you.